All right. Next game, Sunday. Rams visiting Tampa Bay.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
This is going to be fun. And it's going to start what I think is the main entree of the weekend, the Sunday slate. Okay. Start us off with this one for this game because I have a lot to say. Alan.
I think Tampa Bay, there's a lot of concerns.
I like it.
With Jansen and Wirfs, like this is not the time where you want, like they were banged up to begin with, but with skill position players, okay. Like it's not ideal with Godwin being out in the A-B situation, but as long as the offense line's intact, you give Brady time, it's all go. But now it's just like you lose Wirfs, not lose, but look, he's a game time decision. He's in a walking boot right now, which is not ideal. And then with Jansen, like 2 of your 3 All-Pros are gone because Marpet's the other one. But you just look at what Floyd and Miller was able to do Monday night, and we know what Aaron Donald's resume speaks for itself. It's just that's one of the biggest concerns because I think if you look at roster-wise, I think the Rams are the more talented team. But in the trenches where you have to look at these types of games, especially in the playoffs, like Tampa Bay is just a more physical team. They're bigger. They have more depth. But losing Jansen and Wirfs, it's like, ooh, that was one of their true advantages. Now it's you question, will it be a disadvantage? Because you saw Ryan Kerrigan going at that right tackle Wells. It looked like a Division III player trying to block a Division I player.
And guess what? He also pulled his quad also.
Wells, man.
Yeah. So now you're looking, and I have the injury report in front of me right now because I think that's massive, right? Like the offensive line, this game I can see going the way the Super Bowl went. In the sense of if Tampa Bay is out with these 2 offensive linemen, like I think it could get ugly. And I think it could be something where this is why you brought in Von Miller. You got Leonard Floyd. You got Aaron Donald too. And you don't have your all-world left tackle and then your center too who made the Pro Bowl. Right tackle, excuse me. So now it's like, yeah, Brady is – and this isn't a bash on Brady. Like, yeah, we get he's the GOAT. He's the best to ever do it. If someone picks the Rams, it shouldn't be – if someone doesn't pick the Bucs, it shouldn't be because you're going against Brady. It's like, no. Brady isn't my concern at all. Gronk isn't the concern. It's they're coming in hobbled right now. And how much can you overcome?
Yeah. And the thing is, Fournette still, like they said, if he's 100%, he can't play. Because hamstring, it's such a delicate injury. Like if he doesn't have his burst, there's no point of him playing because he's just going to be a liability. So that's a concern. And then, look, Sean McVay has gone after Todd Bowles in multiple matchups. Let's not forget the Monday night game last year. Like to me, that was Jared Goff's last great game as a Ram. Like Kupp and Woods at over 100 yards, and they were just carving him up. And that was ironically the last time the Bucs lost a game. It went on that run afterwards.
Yeah.
But then you saw this year, and it's just we've spoken ad nauseum about how the Bucs secondary it's kind of a concern, and it's just I just think the Rams how they built that offense now. Like even Vance Jefferson only gets 2 or 3 targets. He really only needs one play to make a difference. Like that 4-yard catch he had against the Cardinals is just so routine.
Yeah,
crosser because he just has that burst. And
I feel like every single catch he's made has been that play.
He's that's why they got rid of Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah,
like we have our deep threat.
Yeah,
because we know how to scheme things up for Beckham. Higbee's getting back into his groove, and Cooper Kupp, the guy can't do no wrong. So if you're a Rams fan right now, there's a lot to be excited about.
Cam Akers.
Oh man,
fuck man. Coming back, the Achilles 5.5 months, right? You come back and immediately thrown into the Wolves. 18 touches in the playoff game.
Yeah.
And when Stafford got there, they became my Super Bowl pick. And they still are. Then Cam Akers goes down. And it's like, damn, that's kind of devastating. That was a big one because I had him as like a, top 2 fantasy pick. Yeah. Second rounder at worst in this offense. The way they like to run the ball, how they did with Todd Gurley and the running backs that they would have.
Yeah, the way they utilized him at the end of last year. He was in that workforce for a while.
Oh, dude, he was getting 25-plus touches against Seattle in the playoff game. He did it against the Jets in that regular season game. And then even in Green Bay, he was
productive.
He was the only bright spot there. So here's the thing, and I think this is the biggest like handicapping take 3, finally got it. And like X factors for me is The Bucs are coming in hobbled. A lot of guys that played in that first game that these two teams met back in week 3 are not going to be playing in this game. We don't know the status of Leonard Fournette. AB didn't play that game. He had like a COVID thing. Godwin isn't going to be there. And then on the flip side, no Von Miller then, no Cam Akers, and no Odell, who is a big part of this offense now. Yeah. He is a force again. And in this role, he doesn't need to get the ball 10 plus times.
Just wins jump ball in the red zone, bang.
Jump ball in the red zone. They get him involved. He's an important part of their offense. He feels important. And everyone's going to be keying on Cooper Kupp, and he's never going to get the number one coverage because you also have Van Jefferson running wild and doing his thing. Yeah. Now, it's all going to come down to Matthew Stafford, right? This is why you brought him here. You saw them go head-to-head earlier in the year. Now it's different. Tom Brady's won 9 straight divisional rounds. Like, all Tom Brady knows is conference championship games. So that's the huge...
Yeah. And let's not discount Tampa's pass rush. Like, the Rams are still... The O-line still has question marks. And Tampa, they still have, Pro Bowl caliber players. We know about JPP. We know about Barrett. Barrett had a huge game against Philly. He was getting after it. And then Vita Vea dropping into coverage.
I know, yeah.
It's just hilarious. Like, the Rams, like, both these teams can be blitz happy. But the thing is, like, the Rams blitz Kyler Murray 40% of the time. I don't think they're going to be blitzing Brady 40% of the time. Because the thing with Brady is, and he showed against the Eagles, he got the ball sometimes less than 2 seconds. I think it was like 1.9. Like, he has no problem dinking and dunking it because I guess Philly's defense afforded it. I'm not sure if Raheem Morris would do the same thing. And
if you don't have these offensive linemen out there, you don't think that's what they're going to want to do to negate that pass rush from Von Miller?
It will, but will the openings be there?
That's true.
I don't think the Eagles kind of run that Colts defense where they just don't want to give a big play. They'll give you all the space underneath. I don't think the Rams want to do that. And another thing is Jalen Ramsey. These are the matchups he loves. He loves big physical receivers. He wants to get nasty.
Dude, I was just going to bring it up. Like, isn't this the kind of game where you just tell Jalen Ramsey, look, all year we've been doing some BS for you where you line up in the slot and you go to one side, go to the other. You don't really shadow anyone. Like, nah, bro, we're paying you, over $100 million they're paying him?
Right.
It's a lot of money. He's the highest paid
and who else are you going to cover on that team?
Let's take away Mike Evans.
Yeah.
And let's see what they got.
Because you saw last week, like, Evans, he lined up a lot in the slot, and he did his most damage there. And it was against Avonte Max. Darius Slade was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So you have to look at tape. It's just like, we're going to negate that. Unless they're going to use Ramsey on Gronk, which would be totally understandable because Gronk still looks as good as ever.
Also, they did that when he was on Jacksonville. Yeah. And they did that in that playoff game.
That's the only reason why I could see, all right, if you don't want to shadow Evans, fine. But you better be covering Gronk because Brady will be looking for Gronk. So, and the Rams, that middle of the field is kind of where you could get them at. Their linebackers are not very good, and we know about the safety situation. Eric Weddle off the couch, baby. But
got in shape playing at the YMCA, playing pickup basketball.
You know, man, the guy's a true dad. But there's a lot of moving pieces in this game. Like, you're gonna see, this is another one of those games where just both sides so much star power. But man. Like, you look at the Rams, as long as Stafford doesn't throw multiple interceptions, fumbles, don't turn over multiple times, and if the Rams could just hold their own in the trenches, this is their game.
Yeah.
Because I just think they're superior across the board, while Tampa's kind of hobbling. The only things you can really say with Tampa, obviously the Brady factor, and it's just look, if they could somehow win the trenches on both sides, then it's anyone's ball game.
Yeah. Nah, to me, this is the game I'm the most, not conflicted, but it's the one that I'm having trouble picking a winner in. Like, removing the fact that, no shit, I'm financially invested in the Rams, but from a professional standpoint, to pick a winner, this is the one that I'm struggling with the most.
What makes you feel good about the Bucs? Because we've been kind of down on them, but look, they're still the 2 seed, the reigning champions. Like, what makes you conflicted? What is Tampa bringing to the table that makes you think?
I think it's really number 12.
Okay.
I think that's
what else can you say?
I think that's really the only reason why.
And their defense is relatively healthy. Like, look, their defense could bring it.
Yeah. But I'm worried about the offensive line and the skill position players. You could get away with that against Philly because also, with Philly wasn't going to match you scoring. Mm-hmm. You want to get into a shootout now with the Rams with Mike Evans and Gronk only? Yeah, you want. You weren't afraid to get into shootouts when you had Gronk and Evans and Godwin and AB, and then Scotty Miller's like your fifth or sixth option on the offense whenever Leonard Fournette was there too. Yeah. But now when these guys are all elevated, you saw it. He threw some passes to Tyler Johnson, and it's like he gave him that.
Yeah, what drive is Brady going to yell at Tyler Johnson? It took the second drive. Like, I could just picture it again. Like, just the timing. We're on the same page.
Eventually, cluster injuries, like I mentioned, when it happens to one position unit, it comes back to haunt you. You might not see it right away. You might see it later down the line, but at some point, it catches up to you. Yeah. But they have number 12, and they have Gronk. They have guys that they know what they need to do, and it's also a team that knows what they need to do, right? They did this last year.
Yeah. I think they were, of all the teams, they were pissed that Dallas lost, because I think Dallas would have been a much more favorable matchup for them compared to the Rams.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Dallas, they would have matched up pretty well.
Yeah.
This game, it's just like, it's not just because the Rams look so dominant against the Cardinals. It's just that roster is built really well. And unless Tampa wins in the trenches, unless Stafford, Todd Bowles really has to bring out his best. Like, Todd Bowles is being talked about as a potential head coaching candidate, well deserved. But this is a game where it's like Todd Bowles, you might have to throw a kitchen sink. We got to get Levante David, Devin White, just throwing at him and just get Stafford uncomfortable, because if Stafford's comfortable, he's going to hit Cooper Kupp. Like, that's about as reliable as it gets when it comes to QB. Like, I would love to know what Stafford's completion percentage is when throwing a Kupp. It's probably 70 or more.
You know what's funny? He dropped the pass in that game in the playoffs, and I was laying down on my couch and I kind of sat up like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, it got picked off.
Yeah, it just went through his hands. Like, yeah, he threw it like back here, but I was just like, yo, I don't think he had any drops this season. Like, it just seemed like they were always connecting. But it happens, just like more of a funny thing than anything. But man, for me, where are you leaning on this one?
It wasn't too, like I said, the NFC games weren't too hard to call. Like, I'm going with the Rams.
Oh,
yeah. I was pretty confident.
Oh, this is
and NFC. I was pretty straightforward. I was like, nah, I could see that. It's just I'm concerned with the Bucs. I did not think they looked all that good against Philly. I thought Philly was the reason why they had a lot of their success. Like, defensively, okay, they did their thing, but I didn't like how they looked offensively. I think Fournette's a bigger piece than people think. Even though the playoff Lenny everyone knows about, but I think Fournette, they really would need him in this game to run the ball, because I think they're going to look at this like, we got to somehow run the ball, because you know about the Rams. You could run on them.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, like, do they have the personnel? Is Vaughn and Gio Bernard, can they do this? Is Ron Jones even going to be healthy? So it's just, there's a lot of uncertainty.
Le'Veon Bell, maybe?
He didn't even play last week. So I think that's like the real good. Like, to me, they got to somehow run the ball, and they got to force turnovers, and they're both O-line, D-line got to come to play. But other than that, they can't do it there. I just think the Rams, way too much star power, way too many playmakers. They're going to force turnovers, and they're just going to produce big plays like that. Those receivers are going to get after those corners. And, yeah, I'm pretty confident. I'm going to go with the Rams.